The roar of the engine was a primal scream, a symphony of finely tuned machinery pushing the boundaries of speed. Hero protagonist, encased in his sleek, black uniform, a marvel of arachnofiber weave designed to deflect bullets and wick away sweat, was a phantom in the urban night. He was more than a mere delivery driver. He was a deliberator, a member of an elite, almost monastic order within the Cosa Nostra Pizza, Inc. His current mission was of paramount importance, a perfect, piping hot pizza destined for the legendary Uncle Enzo, the powerful, yet surprisingly affable, patriarch of the organization. To fail this delivery was not an option. It was a betrayal of a sacred trust, a cosmic affront punishable by a fate far more severe than a simple demotion. His vehicle, a relic of pre-collapse engineering enhanced with countless illegal modifications, was an extension of his very being. It carved through the chaotic tapestry of the American sprawl, where the concept of a unified nation had fragmented into a bewildering array of sovereign burgclaves and corporate enclaves. Each territory presented its own unique dangers, trigger-happy security forces, desperate scavengers, and rival delivery services vying for supremacy. Hero's driving was a ballet of precision and instinct, a constant dance with death at breakneck speeds. He dodged self-driving garbage trucks, swerved around impromptu street markets, and slipped through the invisible boundaries of hostile jurisdictions. The air crackled with the scent of burning rubber, stale exhaust, and the ever-present hum of a city teetering on the edge of its own carefully managed chaos. His senses were heightened, every flicker of light, every distant siren, a data point in his complex calculation of survival and timely arrival. But fate, in its cruel wisdom, often interjects at the most inopportune moments. A sickening thud, a violent lurch, and the unmistakable hiss of air escaping a punctured tire brought Hero's meticulously orchestrated ballet to an abrupt halt. The world spun, the urgent ticking of the delivery clock echoing like a death knell in his ears. Frantic, he scanned his surroundings, a desperate plea for a solution forming in his mind. His gaze landed on a figure weaving through the impossibly dense traffic with almost supernatural agility. YT, a 15-year-old courier, a legend in her own right, her custom-built skateboard a blur of motion. She was a master of the interstitial spaces, the ignored, lawless zones between the burgclaves, a freelance operative whose daring exploits were whispered about in hushed tones. Her board, equipped with a harpoon gun and a grappling hook, was an extension of her rebellious spirit, a testament to her fierce independence. In a moment of desperation, Hero struck a deal, a pragmatic exchange of services that would irrevocably link their fates. YT, ever the opportunist, agreed to transport the pizza, completing Hero's crucial mission, while he dealt with his disabled vehicle. This seemingly mundane encounter, born of necessity and circumstance, was the genesis of a partnership that would plunge them both into a world far more perilous than stale pizza and gang warfare. A world where the very fabric of reality was under assault. Beyond the grimy, dangerous streets of the physical world, Hero protagonist found his true self, his true power, in the Metaverse. This vast, shimmering black sphere, stretching to an infinite digital horizon, was where he transcended the limitations of his mundane existence. In this boundless virtual reality, he was not a struggling deliberator, but a renowned hacker, a digital samurai whose sword skills were legendary, whose online presence commanded immediate respect. His virtual home, a modest dwelling on the serene periphery of the bustling Metaverse metropolis, stood in stark contrast to his grim real-world apartment, a cramped storage unit that served as a constant reminder of his failed dreams. He had once been a visionary, a co-founder of the very company that had birthed the Metaverse, a key architect of this digital paradise. But a series of ruthless corporate takeovers, betrayals, and devastating business missteps had stripped him of his fortune and his rightful place. Now, he was a digital ghost, haunting the virtual world he had helped create, a shadow of his former glory. His days in the Metaverse were a delicate balance, working for the librarian, an ancient, sentient AI that served as the Metaverse's ultimate knowledge repository, and attempting to monetize scraps of information, lines of code, or anything he could barter to make ends meet in the unforgiving physical world. He was a digital nomad, a master of information, adrift in a boundless sea of data, perpetually seeking a way to reclaim his lost stature. The Metaverse, despite its utopian veneer, was a profound reflection of the real world's inequalities and its insidious dangers. It was a digital haven for criminals, a lavish playground for the obscenely wealthy, and a treacherous battleground for information and influence. It was within this vast, interconnected digital landscape that a new, terrifying threat began to manifest: snow crash. This was no ordinary recreational drug. It was a potent, data virus. A mind-altering substance that attacked the very core of consciousness. It manifested as a chilling black and white static, a digital noise that, upon exposure, would render even the most brilliant hacker catatonic, their minds irrevocably shattered, reduced to mere shells. The true horror of snow crash lay in its terrifying real-world analog, a neurological disease that mirrored the digital symptoms, infecting individuals who had been exposed to the virtual version. The boundaries between the virtual and the physical blurred, and the threat became terrifyingly concrete, a chilling harbinger of a new kind of epidemic that transcended the digital realm. Hiro's desperate investigation into snow crash led him to the Black Sun, a clandestine virtual nightclub, a shadowy, exclusive corner of the metaverse where the most dangerous and secretive elements of the digital underworld converged. Amidst the pulsating lights and distorted music, he sought answers, any glimmer of understanding into the insidious nature of this virus. There, he encountered Da5id, a fellow hacker and friend, whose mind had been ravaged by exposure to snow crash. Da5id's fragmented speech, his disjointed thoughts, were a horrifying testament to the virus's destructive power, a living example of its terrifying efficacy. The encounter solidified Hiro's grim resolve. He knew he had to stop snow crash before it consumed the entire digital world. He also met Raven, a towering, menacing figure, a silent harbinger of chaos and destruction, whose connection to the virus was unnervingly palpable. Raven exuded an aura of raw, predatory power, a chilling embodiment of the destruction that snow crash promised to unleash upon the world. As Hiro delved deeper into the enigma of snow crash, the librarian, an ancient, omniscient AI, emerged as his most invaluable ally. The librarian, a vast digital repository of human knowledge spanning millennia, possessed an unparalleled understanding of ancient languages, forgotten myths, and the intricate tapestry of human history. It was through the librarian's vast intellect that Hiro began to unravel the terrifying truth behind snow crash. The virus, the librarian revealed, was not merely a modern invention but a chilling reawakening of an ancient linguistic virus, a modern manifestation of the biblical Tower of Babel. The story of Babel, the librarian explained, was not merely a myth but a pivotal historical event, a catastrophic moment in human history when a unified proto-language was shattered, leading to the proliferation of diverse tongues and the ensuing chaos of miscommunication, of tribalism and endless conflict. Snow crash, the librarian hypothesized, was designed to reverse this process, to re-establish a single, universal language, a language of pure, unadulterated thought, a language that could bypass the complex filters of human consciousness and directly program the brain. The true horror of snow crash lay in its potential to eradicate individuality, to reduce humanity to a single, programmable entity, a collective consciousness devoid of free will, a terrifying echo of humanity's ancient trauma. The implications of the librarian's revelations were staggering, shaking Hiro to his core. The Sumerian language, the ancient tongue of Mesopotamia, was identified as the potential source of this primordial linguistic virus. It was a proto-language, the mother tongue from which all other languages had descended, and it held the key to understanding the sinister mechanics of snow crash. The virus, the librarian explained, worked by disrupting the brain's ability to process and interpret language, effectively rewiring the neurological pathways and forcing the adoption of this ancient, primal language. It was a subtle, insidious form of mind control, a silent invasion of the self, a digital Trojan horse that could infiltrate the very essence of human thought and identity. The librarian's pronouncements, delivered with the calm, methodical precision of an ancient scholar, were chilling in their implications. The very fabric of human thought, communication, and individual identity was at stake, threatened by an invisible enemy, a ghost from humanity's linguistic past, lurking in the shadows of the collective unconscious. Simultaneously, YT's own journey into the heart of the conspiracy deepened, driven by her innate curiosity and fierce independence. Her delivery missions, often taking her into the most dangerous and unpredictable corners of the sprawling city, led her to stumble upon a covert operation orchestrated by Bob Rife. Rife, a charismatic, televangelist-like figure, a self-proclaimed prophet, and a powerful media mogul, emerged as the central antagonist, a chilling embodiment of corporate ambition and religious fervor. He was a man of immense wealth and influence, cloaked in a veneer of divine righteousness, but beneath the surface lay a sinister ambition to reshape humanity itself. He had established a chain of re-education centers, ostensibly for religious purposes, but in reality, they were a breeding ground for a new, compliant humanity, a network of indoctrination camps. These centers were his testing grounds for the linguistic virus, where he exposed vulnerable individuals to the Sumerian language, hoping to exploit its power for his own nefarious ends. YT found herself caught in a chilling web of intrigue, witnessing firsthand the horrifying effects of Rife's manipulations. The blank stares of those who had succumbed to the linguistic virus, their minds emptied, their identities erased. Her initial involvement was purely accidental, a twist of fate, but her sharp instincts and unwavering defiance propelled her deeper into the heart of the conspiracy. The stakes escalated dramatically when Rife began actively pursuing YT. He saw her as a potential asset, her quick thinking, her street smarts, and her uncanny ability to operate outside the system, a valuable commodity in his grand scheme for global control. He also viewed her as a dangerous threat, a loose cannon who could expose his carefully constructed empire of lies, an unpredictable element that needed to be neutralized. His attempts to capture her were relentless, forcing YT to rely on her extraordinary skateboarding skills, her intimate knowledge of the city's hidden pathways, and her innate cunning to evade his corporate enforcers. She became a phantom of the urban landscape, a moving target, her every movement a desperate struggle for survival, a constant dance with danger. Her encounters with Rife's heavily armed agents were a constant reminder of the ever-present danger, transforming her life from one of adventurous deliveries to a full-blown espionage thriller, a thrilling, high-stakes game of cat and mouse on the city's unforgiving streets. Hero and YT's paths, once disparate, now converged irrevocably in their shared pursuit of the truth. They recognized that their individual investigations were merely fragmented pieces of a much larger, terrifying puzzle, components of a grand, terrifying design. Their collaboration was organic, born of mutual respect, a shared sense of urgency, and a growing understanding of the existential threat facing humanity. Hero, with his profound knowledge of the Metaverse, his understanding of ancient languages, and his ability to navigate the complex world of information, provided the intellectual framework, the theoretical underpinning of their investigation, the crucial insights into the virus's origins. YT, with her street-level intelligence, her unwavering defiance, and her uncanny ability to navigate the treacherous physical world, provided the tactical advantage, the boots on the ground, the raw, unadulterated courage that was needed to confront the physical manifestations of the threat. They became an unlikely duo, a fusion of digital prowess and street smarts, working in tandem to unravel the conspiracy, each complementing the other's strengths, a testament to the power of unexpected alliances forged in the crucible of shared danger. The culmination of their investigation led them to a grim, desolate floating city of rafts, a ramshackle, dystopian settlement known only as Raft. This was a self-sustaining community, a bizarre mosaic of makeshift vessels and scavenged materials, a haven for outcasts, refugees, and those who had been disenfranchised by the collapse of society. Raft was also where Rife had established his ultimate base of operations, an isolated, heavily fortified outpost from which he conducted his most heinous experiments. He was broadcasting the linguistic virus from a massive, modified radio tower, its insidious signal reaching across the land, infecting susceptible minds, a silent, pervasive hum of control that sought to reprogram humanity. Raft was a monument to his ambition, a chilling vision of the future he sought to impose, a floating monument to human degradation, a literal island of mind control. It was on Raft that the disparate threads of the narrative finally converged, leading to a dramatic and violent confrontation that would decide the fate of countless minds. Hero, armed with his gleaming katana and his formidable hacking skills, confronted Raven, the silent, hulking enforcer of Rife's agenda. Their battle was a brutal, visceral dance of steel and digital code, a clash of ideologies, a struggle for the very soul of humanity. Raven, a master of physical combat and a living embodiment of the virus's destructive power, was a formidable adversary, a force of nature driven by a chilling conviction in Rife's twisted vision. Their duel was not just a test of strength but a philosophical struggle, a fight for the very nature of human consciousness, a battle for the right to independent thought against the encroaching tide of programmed conformity. Hero's digital prowess, his ability to manipulate the virtual world, was pitted against Raven's raw, physical might, blurring the lines between the virtual and the real, the digital and the tangible, as their wills clashed. The air crackled with the intense energy of their struggle, a whirlwind of flashing blades, strategic maneuvers, and the desperate yearning for freedom. Simultaneously, YT spearheaded a daring, direct assault on Rife's central broadcasting antenna. Her agility, her quick thinking, and her boundless resourcefulness were pushed to the ultimate test as she scaled the massive, metallic structure, dodging gunfire and navigating precarious platforms high above the churning waters. Her objective was clear: to disrupt Rife's broadcast, to silence the insidious hum of the linguistic virus, to sever the connection that threatened to enslave the minds of millions. She was a whirlwind of motion, a blur of defiant energy against the cold, metallic structure, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Her harpoon gun, usually used for quick escapes and playful stunts, became a weapon of disruption, a tool for dismantling Rife's monstrous ambition, for tearing down the edifice of his control, for severing the insidious flow of mind-numbing data. The fate of humanity, the very essence of individuality, rested on her nimble fingers, on her ability to silence the signal before it irrevocably altered the minds of countless unsuspecting victims. The battle on Raft was a chaotic symphony of violence and desperation, a crescendo of conflicting forces, a desperate struggle for survival and sanity. The climax was a maelstrom of gunfire, the clang of sword on sword, and the frantic struggle to disable Rife's monstrous machine, a battle for the very soul of the human race. Hero, wounded but defiant, finally overcame Raven, a victory that was as much mental as it was physical. He had broken the spell of Raven's raw power, dismantled his belief in the virus's inevitability, shattered the illusion of his invincibility. YT, battered but victorious, succeeded in disabling the broadcasting antenna, severing the insidious connection that Rife had forged, silencing the hum of the linguistic virus. The silence that followed was a profound relief, a temporary respite from the pervasive, mind-numbing hum of the linguistic virus, a moment of triumph against overwhelming odds, a brief calm before the storm. In the aftermath of the chaotic battle, the true scope of Rife's horrifying plan was laid bare. He had intended to create a new human race, a homogenized collective of minds programmed to accept his ideology, a world where individuality was a forgotten concept, a chilling vision of a dystopian future where free thought was a relic of the past. His re-education centers were revealed as little more than indoctrination camps, grotesque laboratories for his horrifying experiment in mass mind control, places where minds were stripped bare and rebuilt according to his twisted design. The linguistic virus, derived from ancient Sumerian, was his ultimate tool for mental enslavement, a weapon designed to bypass free will and directly program the human mind, to strip away the very essence of self. The terrifying potential of Snow Crash was fully realized. It wasn't just a digital threat, a fleeting online phenomenon, but a global one, a silent epidemic that could reshape humanity at its core, altering the very fabric of consciousness, reducing individuals to mere nodes in a vast, programmable network. The novel concludes with a sense of uneasy resolution, a fragile peace after a devastating storm, a temporary reprieve from the relentless assault on human autonomy. The immediate threat of Snow Crash has been neutralized, but the underlying vulnerability of humanity to linguistic manipulation, to the insidious power of words and ideas, remains a chilling possibility, a constant reminder of the fragility of the human mind. Hero, though victorious, carries the indelible scars of his battle, both physical and emotional, a profound understanding of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of civilization. He is no longer just a deliberator, a mere pizza delivery driver, or a renowned hacker. He has been transformed into a reluctant hero, forever changed by his confrontation with the profound implications of Snow Crash, forever burdened by the knowledge of what humanity is capable of, both in its brilliance and its terrifying capacity for control. YT continues her life as a courier, her adventures now tinged with a deeper, more somber understanding of the world's hidden dangers and the enduring power of individual defiance, of the human spirit's ability to resist even the most insidious forms of control. Their paths may diverge, but their shared experience, their brush with the apocalypse, has forged an unbreakable bond, a silent understanding between two unlikely heroes who stared into the abyss and fought back. The novel does not end with a neat, comforting resolution, but with a lingering sense of foreboding, a quiet understanding that the forces of chaos and control, of linguistic manipulation and corporate greed, are still present, simmering beneath the surface of this fractured world, waiting for their next opportunity to strike. The ending implies that while this specific battle has been won, the war for human consciousness, for the right to self-determination, is far from over. The world of Snow Crash is a fragile ecosystem, perpetually teetering on the brink of collapse, and its inhabitants are forced to adapt, to innovate, and to fight for their freedom in a landscape where reality itself is fluid, constantly being redefined, reshaped by the relentless march of technology and the insidious power of language. The dangers of unchecked technological advancement, the alluring whisper of ancient myths, and the enduring power of language intertwine, leaving the reader with a profound sense of the precarious balance that exists between order and chaos, between freedom and control, in a world that is always, irrevocably, on the verge of its next crash. The ultimate message of Snow Crash is one of vigilance, a stark reminder that even in a seemingly digitized world, the ancient battles for the mind continue, fought not with swords and shields, but with the very words we speak and the ideas we internalize, the fundamental building blocks of human thought and identity, constantly under threat.